Hello. I am live. My name is Christina Luna. Today I am going to be talking about January. I'm going to be talking about the way that January is shaping up for us as the first month of the new year. And I'm going to do a little bit of time traveling as we prepare to step into this new year, just to get us kind of very quickly back, like into perspective of what we are actually embarking on in this year ahead. So very briefly, what we are, this is where we are. Basically, in 2020, we, in some area of our life, maybe several areas of our life, we experienced something like a wrecking ball that would have come in and it would have toppled over old structures of work, old structures of relationship, old structures of health, old structures of relating to your life. Literally places that you lived could have been dismantled, or there could have just been a big disruption like a wrecking ball coming through your life in 2020. And then in 2021, this would have been a year where we sift through the rubble and we pull out the pieces that are still valuable and relevant. We pull out the practical, salvageable parts from the rubble. And then we haul off whatever was left in the wreckage. We haul it off, we clear it out. So there was a lot of work that went into 2021. And sometimes it felt hard. And sometimes it felt like that sensation of reward when you've done some good, hard things. That's what 2021 was like. So then we get into 2022, and this was the year of like framing. It was like right at the end of the year, we poured this foundation, and this whole year of 2022, we were framing and constructing from scratch this new life that we have dreamed up, that we've envisioned. For some, there might have been a desire to like reconstruct something old, and maybe in 2022 you discovered that you got to just get rid of the old structure altogether and just start over completely. And so in 2022 there was a lot of that sort of, okay, well, I think this is where we want to go. Let's set the foundation and really frame this up so that we can have a life that will hold all of our dreams, our sustainable future, that will hold us for the long haul. So now we're at that crossover into 2023, and going with this metaphoric trajectory, 2023 is the year where we get all the finish work done. This is when we're putting in the fixtures, the floors, the colors, the paint, the windows, the light fixtures. It's when we get to choose all of the personal preferences, the amenities that we believe will suit us for the long haul. And of course, this is a metaphor. So think of an area of your life that was demolished in 2020, that was sifted through in 2021, the committed to a certain level in 2021, and then brought into a sort of a stronger structural framework in 2022 that now gets to be decorated, gets to be completed in a way that will allow for like a housewarming party, some sort of coming out, some sort of huge announcement of completion, something that will invite others to see our unique expression in the world. So with that being said, we've got a really exciting year in front of us. And I was in a conversation earlier today, and think about yourself, and if there were 4 parts of a building project, if there were 4 parts, which part for you is the most exciting? Would it be the dismantling of the old so you can set the table for something new? Would it be starting something new by bringing pieces together from like buying new pieces, or finding materials from what you've dismantled in the past? Would it be actually doing some of that construction, the process? or would it be finishing and completing the project? If you think about your life and you think about the way you function in any kind of creative endeavor, which parts of that cycle feel the most juicy and exciting and rich to you, and which parts do you actually kind of struggle with? Some of us actually have a hard time completely completing a project, and completion energy is absolutely what's on the table for 2023. We're stepping into that. So if you're one that likes to close things, tie things up, finish things, complete things, this will be a very exciting year for you. If you're one that has lots of projects sort of open and you don't really, the fun for you is having the projects open and incomplete and sort of like in a chaotic creative mess, then 2023 might actually feel a little like pressured for you. You might feel like, oh gosh, I've got these deadlines. You might even attract external authority to help you actually button it up and complete it. In any case, we would have had some sort of external authority throughout this process that sort of pressed us into this new cycle of creativity. For me personally, I had an external authority in the very beginning that I needed the external push to discontinue something that used to be in my life, to discontinue old cycles, to actually, so I felt old cycles closed by force and not by choice. And then it was out of necessity that I had to endeavor in a new direction that I wanted to endeavor in, but it was out of my comfort zone. So there was a lot of growth involved. And then, the stick to itness was, good, strong, like, I'm going to build this. I'm going to build it. I'm going to build it. That all is very exciting. Now moving into a completion phase, I am looking at myself. I am looking at like, well, what kind of energy do I need to call in to bring some of these things into completion now? This is the time where it's that last little bit, it's the last 20%, right? And it takes a certain level of discipline, of focus, of like commitment. And January is a month where we see this bigger picture and we commit to our flight. That was the statement that I channeled when I was going through each of the months. As I would look at the transits, I would come up with a saying for each month that was in context with the rest of the transits throughout the year. So January is we see the bigger picture and we commit to our flight. So essentially, we're going to need to tap into some vision, some compelling vision, something that's bigger than us, something that includes the lives of people that we care about. And I'll explain how I came up with that, but when I go through the dates for January. But before we even get to January, like today is December 27th for me, as I'm recording this, I'm already feeling this sensation of wanting to commit. I'm already yesterday I was like, gosh, I just feel like I'm ready to get leverage on myself and to make this big change. And I usually feel these sensations, and then I, of course, am like, what's going on right now that would cause me to feel this way? And of course, the moon was crossing over Saturn yesterday. So Saturn is just about to move in March of 2023. Saturn will move into its next sign, Pisces. And so with the moon crossing over Saturn in Aquarius in those late degrees, it was sort of enlightening me to the type of commitment I feel ready to make as Saturn is finishing its movement through Aquarius in the next 3 months. And I actually sprung and took action on it immediately, because when I noticed that sensation in myself, I see that spark as an igniter for really good things in my life. I've conditioned myself to pay very close attention to those inspired thoughts and to take action while that window is hot, because sometimes those windows are very short. And in this case, it was the moon crossing over Saturn created this window. And what I also know is before the end of this year, Venus and Mercury will come to a near conjunction. They're both evening stars in the sky right now. So if you go out right after sundown and you see the first stars on the western horizon, you will see Venus and Mercury as evening stars, and both of them are bringing some sort of tangible evidence of something that they planted into fruition, planted a seed for back during the eclipse season. And so with them both here in Capricorn and with Mercury preparing to retrograde for the first 3 weeks of January, there's something that we are going to feel in our body. They're both conjunct Pluto as well. So there's something kind of serious. There's something kind of existential that they're bringing to our awareness that we will feel we are ready to get some leverage on in ourselves. And if you know your chart and if you understand a little bit of how to use your chart to understand yourself more fully, you can look at the place where you have Capricorn in your chart, and that will give you a hint as to why you've been feeling this kind of serious desire to commit to something in your system. For me personally, I've got this in a space that is related to the character that I play and the way I relate to my body and the way I put my actions in alignment with my values. And so I got the incredible desire. I investigated it. I made the commitment. And I created the structure, and I've mapped out this like first quarter action plan that I'm fully committing to for my flight, because I see that where I'm going in the long run, where I'm going in 2023 as an opportunity to design the finishing touches of this new incarnation of my life, and as an opportunity to create the type of life that I would like to invite even more people into. That's going to take some work on me on a certain level that I am ready to commit to. So I did. And I can talk more about what that looks like for me maybe at the end, but now I want to just get to the dates in January that you're going to feel some like strong movement, some strong connection. You may feel a little bit of grind. And so I'm going to go through the dates now. So well, first of all, by the 29th, that's when Mercury will begin moving retrograde. And that's going to be the beginning of some sort of, you may feel that energy even before the 1st of January, this energy of like, no, I'm going to start now. I don't want to wait. I'm just going to do it now. I don't need to blow this week. I'm going to actually just get ahead on it. So by the 2nd of January, Venus will move into Aquarius, and Venus has been in Capricorn for this month of December, and now as she moves into Aquarius, she's bringing our attention, she's bringing our most receptive focus into the knowing of how the thread of our existence is connected to all of those we live our life with. And so in the beginning of January, if you can see how all of your decisions for yourself, all of your visions, all of your commitments are actually impacting your children, your loved ones, your parents, your clients, even the people you share a neighborhood with, the greater world, how you are so important and significant in what you do and what you choose for yourself, that you energetically influence everyone around you. That is what Venus will be calling to our attention. And so any commitments that we're making right now, if we can connect that to the bigger picture, to those that are impacted, it's going to get extra like bodily motivation and juice. It's going to feel a lot more juicy for us. And so I'm just inviting everyone to consider those connections in the beginning of January. And then on the 6th of January, we'll have a full moon in Cancer. The full moon in Cancer, we always have full moons in Cancers around this time of year because the opposite sign of Capricorn is Cancer. And if you think about the paradox between Capricorn and Cancer, these are opposing signs in that one of them the Capricorn, for instance, is a certain level of maturity that thinks about legacy, that thinks about our parents and how they raised us and how we are upholding those traditions and how that's going to impact our children, and how there's this energetic lineage that's passed and will exist on this planet through the change that we create in that tradition by living. So Capricorn is so much about the maturity of understanding how much we matter. And Cancer is a moment where we get to actually very, very vulnerably investigate what we are caring for with that legacy. What's the byproduct of that? What's the sweet, vulnerable sort of recipient of the type of legacy that we leave on this planet? And so for me, for instance, I've made this personal commitment to myself, and I am going to probably by the 6th see that manifested in the way that I'm able to have patience and presence and hold space for my children. And so I imagine there'll be a moment where I'll feel like, wow, this is why I'm doing this. This is why it's worth it. I have a vision to be a certain type of grandparent when I get older that can be like super playful and present with my grandchildren. And so there probably will be some sort of reflection as to the level of energy I'm able to bring to the home and family due to the fact that I'm, strengthening my presence and energy physically for myself. So, on the 6th of January, just be kind of thinking about that relationship between the legacy that you're leaving and the recipient of that legacy. So then on the 8th, we have Black Moon Lilith entering Leo. So for the entire year of 2022, Black Moon Lilith was moving through Cancer. And wherever Black Moon Lilith moves, or wherever that position in space amplifies, it's essentially pointing us toward the part of our life and the theme of our life that we would repress, that we would fear, that we would have some like guilt or shame around, some place that it feels icky and we don't want to look at it. And so when Black Moon Lilith was moving through Cancer in the past year, we were looking at all the ways that we would enter into codependency in a way where we take care of people, or we intercede, or we try to eliminate someone's pain by caring for them or nurturing them and not allowing them to actually gain their strength or build their own character through grit and hard work. So like I've had this play out several times. I had to really look at where I lacked disciplinarian boundaries with my child, why I lacked them, how I felt about saying no and anger, and letting like all the ways that I let my inner child kind of get away with things because I wasn't having good discipline with my emotions or how I was treating those vulnerable parts of myself. So everyone has Cancer somewhere in their chart. Everyone has Black Moon Lilith moving through Cancer through 2022. This would have brought up a lot of themes of how we can actually hurt people when we care about them, or when we overcare or over nourish or over nurture, like helicopter over. Or we would have faced themes on our own dependency and shame and fear around our own desire to be cared for and nurtured and parented and like take care of me kind of energy, right? So that whole lesson would have brought us some sort of clarity or some sort of epiphany about that childlike tendency and that overprotective tendency that could actually be in some ways unhealthy. And we would have come into right relationship with that. So then by the time we have Black Moon Lilith moving into Leo, which it will move all through the year of 2023, now we're going to be facing fears and shame and resistance around being playful and creative children on the planet, being the ones that, you know, make believe and pretend and make messes and create something that's never been created before. So there's mistakes that get made, and there's it's like the lion running into the garden and like chasing the mouse and just making a mess out of the garden. Like, we're going to be facing our repressed acceptance around being those messy, unstructured, creative children. And so wherever you have Leo in your chart, this is going to be an area that is going to be the playground, let's call it a playground, for uncovering that resistance and that lack of acceptance. So that starts on the 8th. Mind you, Mercury is still retrograde during this time, and so is Mars. So this is all happening in a time when we're like, gosh, could I get any more? Can I unwire anything else here? Can I rewrite any more of my story? Can I change my behavior any more at this point? And the answer is yes. Like, of course, we always can, but we are gonna. I feel we may be in a very interesting space by January 12th when Mars moves direct. When Mars moves direct, it's been transiting through Gemini. Mars is the way we behave in the world. It's our active force. It's the yang principle. It's the thing that helps us to feel like we can move in a linear way and achieve our goals or get things done. And so when Mars begins moving forward again, it's been retrograde since the end of October. So we've sort of felt this like, oh, I feel like I need to rework this. I feel like before I put this out there, I need to restructure my thoughts around this or restructure my behavior around this. So by the time we get to January 12th, when Mars is beginning to move direct, we've really come to the core of the issue. And we are ready to actually move in a progressive way toward the finishing touches of something. And so you may find that you've had something in an edit for a long time, and now you're really ready to move forward to the next level, or you're really ready to move forward with the revisions, or you're ready to, finally get that copy into your website and launch it, or make that offer. You may feel you're ready to make an announcement, maybe even, but we're still in a Mercury retrograde. So even though you're ready to do it, you may sit on it for a little bit of time because we're like, okay, I don't need to rush this. If there's anything we've learned, we don't have to rush anything. Everything happens in good time. So even though we'll feel ready, there may still be a few steps that we take until maybe the 18th of January when Mercury moves direct and the Sun conjuncts Pluto. I believe that on the 18th, we're going to feel this turning point moment where we're going to be like, okay, this is because the Sun is conjunct Pluto. I am fully conscious that that's my old self. That was my old way of doing things. That was my old consciousness. I'm fully aware of that old consciousness, and moving forward now, I am going to fully commit to this new expression of who I am now. I'm going to fully commit to like really executing this new legacy. And so when I say we see the bigger picture and commit to our flight, really around the 18th is when I feel that commitment will be fully actualized. Like, yes, I'm ready. Then on the 20th, the Sun will enter Aquarius. And again, keeping your eye on how that commitment is going to impact the greater good, is going to impact all those that we love. That is going to be a kind of an Aquarian theme, and will give you plenty of juice to continue your commitment. And then the new moon in Aquarius is opposite Black Moon Lilith, and Black Moon Lilith just moved into Leo. So we have this new moon in Aquarius directly across from this Lilith aspect in Leo that's, okay, fine. Well, if I'm going to make this commitment, if I'm going to show up in this way, if I'm going to share this version of me with the world, and I expect that it'll probably impact those that I have come here to impact in my sphere of influence and love, then I'm going to have to face a little bit of fear around my unique voice, my unique expression, the way that I show up. And so just know that that new moon, it comes with a new exciting proclamation, but it's a proclamation that will cause us to immediately assess why we've been so afraid of proclaiming that in the first place. And just know that these fears are not real. The Lilith type of fear is a imaginary fear that has governed our expression. The fear was a gatekeeper that was keeping our expression on the inside of this gate. And when we actually have Lilith experiences where we cross through that gate, we actually push through the gate of fear, and our character is strengthened through the crossing that threshold of fear. And we actually access more of our power on the other side of the gate. So this is the new moon in Aquarius is a huge opportunity. And if you're facing anything in your life that feels like a scary, uncomfortable opportunity, my suggestion during this time is to go for it, to be bold, to know that in the present moment, you may not know exactly what you're going to say or what you're going to do, but that's that Leo instinct. The present moment will dictate the way that you express yourself, and release any fear around being expressive in the moment, and just trust that your heart knows exactly what it's meant to express in the present moment. That is, I feel, what that new moon in Aquarius opposite Lilith will present for us. Then on the 22nd, Uranus will move direct and Venus and Saturn will be conjunct. So this is kind of a big day too. We made this announcement on the 21st, right? And then on the 22nd, Uranus in Taurus is saying, all right, I'm going to begin that revolutionary movement toward my sustainability again. It's important. I'm laying this foundation so that we can have our birthright of sovereignty and autonomy and sustainability, and a system that is continuously supporting its own life through its congruence with itself. That's what Uranus is like bringing us into alignment with. And when Venus and Saturn come into a conjunction in Aquarius, it's going to be a sustainable unit within the construct of the entire tapestry of our collective, the entire tapestry of our network. And that network's sustainable, moving, congruence. So I don't know if you can get a picture of this, but in my mind's eye, I see this sort of commitment, this activation. I see this stepping up. I see this proclamation, and I see a forest of congruent sort of toroidal tree forms kind of coming online, like this generating forest of energy and energy, of connected energy. I know this is like way, but these are the kinds of things I see in my mind's eye. And so then finally on the 26th, Venus will enter Pisces, and I believe as that forest is generating, like every single person's functioning as this toroidal field, and there's a forest of toroidal fields that are generating energy. The energy will then make this huge wave, and Venus will move through Pisces, and that wave will be something that will connect us to our psychic connection, our telepathy, our sensation that we are all a part of this together. It's a very, Venus in Pisces is very like, I've touched the fabric of consciousness and I understand we are all one kind of stuff. And I think that it's because we all step into who we are as individuals, and that brings us online and activates us in a certain way that puts us into alignment with the knowing that every one is a microcosm of the macro one. And so anyways, obviously you can tell I'm pretty excited I get excited about this stuff. This is my thing. So that is January, and I'm excited to come back in January and talk about February. The entire year ahead is totally epic. It's one of the most exciting years that I have been paying attention to astrology. It's one of the most exciting years that I've seen since I've been looking at it. And I see this as a massive kind of coming out into the world year. And I know that there will be high levels of change and destabilization in March, but I feel that, like, the way I see it is like, you know, that moment when you're bringing things online, and then you've got to test it to see if it actually is working. And so you turn off the motherboard for a second to see if all the small pieces are actually doing what they're meant to do. And so the big thing goes off, and then all the little pieces, they go, and there's that moment of like, is it going to work? Is it going to work? And, you know, I think there will be some that do and some that don't, and we'll be like, whoa, and it'll fly a little bit, and we'll be like, whoa, okay, some of this is not flowing well and some of it is great. Okay, then we'll take it back down, and then we'll do some reworking, and then we'll set it up to go to fly again in 2024. So I don't know if you're following. This is me already stepping into that, like, Leo expression. I have a very unique world that happens in my mind's eye, and the more videos I do, the more I begin sharing that view. And to me, that's very exciting. I see myself, you know, progressing even more in the year ahead. I've got a whole list of commitments and exciting things I'm offering. So now I'm just going to talk about a few personal things. This group, I just want to thank Emily East for holding space in this group. And I want you to know that, Emily, one of the commitments I made for 2023 was I started this challenge called the 75 Hard. Essentially, you're committing, you can look it up online, you're committing to 75 days of doing these certain things. And one of those things is reading every day. And I am starting out with your book, Like a Mother by Emily East. There's a lot of reasons why I'm reading this book first. First of all, especially when we talk about Capricorn and Cancer, and coming into our legacy and our birthright, this book is clearing out, like, old patterns in my mom guilt and old patterns in places where, yeah, I could see how I felt like I was making choices between who I really am and these roles that I was playing on in this lifetime. One of those being a mother, and how somehow being a mother was keeping me from my highest, like, my most fullest expression. And there's this whole rewrite happening for me right now that includes all of these roles as this amalgam of me. And this book, Like a Mother by Emily East, is helping me with that process. So this is what I'm reading every day for the next 75 days until I'm done with it. And another thing that I would like to just offer this community and anyone who's watching this video, I am starting a group. I actually published a planner this year. This is the Lunation Astrological Planner for 2023. I create PDFs every single year, but this year I actually produced a tangible planner, and I've already used it a lot to kind of map out my plans for the year. But every Monday for the first quarter, all the way till March 20th, every Monday I'm doing a Moon Day meetup. And essentially for 30 minutes, I'm going to go over the energetics for the week. I'm going to talk about the different events that are happening that week astrologically, and point us toward any kind of practices that we can workshop together to hold ourselves accountable, to, you know, hold our perception, to incubate something for those first 3 months of the year until Pluto and Saturn move into the new sign. So it's a way of holding structure for closure. And if that's something that's interesting to you, I will make sure I will provide links, but it's called the Moon Day Meetup. It'll be on Monday Pacific time, 10 a.m. I live in the United States, so I realize that time frame might not work, but these will be workshop recordings. So anyone can actually take these recordings and then workshop their week and, have a container for the planning and the structure and the accountability and the evolutionary perspective that is available to us by connecting with a community of like minds who are moving in the same direction. That's my Aquarian, Venus and Aquarius kind of way of holding space for the people that I serve in the community. So Moon Day Mondays and time for commitments. I am so honored that I get to share all of this with you. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next month. Bye-bye.